Good afternoon. My name is Bob Bertels, if you don't know me. My journey with Rotary started in 2009 when I was at a Rotary Club meeting in Zambia as a guest. And the president of Rotary International was the guest speaker. And when he finished, I was sold. Came back to the United States. I confronted John Gibbons. John suggested I become a member here, and the rest is history. African Vision of Hope is the recipient of 3 Rotary International grants. Most of those have been for sanitation, clean water, wells, things of such. But I'm going to turn the meeting over now to the CEO of African Vision of Hope, which happens to be my wife, Judi Bertels.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your afternoon and allowing me to invade it. First, I want to say that I'm not a Rotarian, but your motto, service above self, is if we all did that in the world, think what a different world we would live in. And I love hearing about your volunteers and your teamwork and even the power of one. When one person says yes to helping, just think of the generations you're changing and the lives that you're changing beyond just what you see. So I want to commend Rotary here and across the globe. These diseases that you see that you think may not be a huge deal are a huge deal across the globe and saving lives. So next one, we need to wipe out tuberculosis because that's what he gets. Our office is in Maryville, Illinois, our main office. We work in the country of Zambia, which is where Masendo's from, about 9,000 miles away. Beautiful country. We have about 147 staff in Zambia. They are all Zambian, so none of them are American on the ground there. We just collaborate back and forth and travel back and forth. We have 6 main things that we focus on in what we do, and one is access to education. I was talking to Norbert, the great equalizer, not only in our country, but across the globe, especially in Zambia, where you do not have a middle class. And so children like Norbert will be the ones that will never be able to walk in that classroom and access the education and live out the life that they were created to do with all the skills that they have. Rescuing and restoring, he's a student that was rescued and restored from living in the dump. Nutrition and clean water. A child can't walk to school, can't stay awake in school unless they've got a good healthy meal every day and access to clean water. Training and sustaining, we do work in the fields of sewing, carpentry, agriculture, and welding. So those are the things we're teaching. Cultivating innovation is a big focus that we started last year with the construction of the high school STEM school, which does not exist in Zambia. We have a very robust robotics club competing against our own schools because there aren't any other schools to compete against, and IT sciences. So that's something we are investing in the next few years, labs, things like that, and developing leaders. On the other end, we want leaders that have integrity and character. So just kind of, this was when I was in there in June, and I happened to be listening to, this is one of our campus pastors that works on our campus with counseling with 10th graders. He said something so powerful as he was talking to some of the poorest children, saying, you are blessed, you have this opportunity here. And I couldn't believe just listening to this what he was putting into them of how important this opportunity is and how blessed they are to be sitting in a classroom. So just something that spoke to me. This is during the day, one day when we have assemblies, that's what they look like outside as the children meet. So everything is outside. This is a new school that we just started. We have a farm, and there are no schools in that area. It's in Jacumbi. There is one fee-paying school that's overcrowded. So our farm manager happens to be an educator. He got those tomato crates, he got a teacher, and he started using the chicken house to start teaching. So right now on our farm, we have about 110 children, first and second grade, going to school. Along with wells and water, this is electricity out in Chongwei at our rural school. Today I heard they just installed the meters. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're running a school with 800 children, electricity is a big deal, especially if you're trying to run a computer lab and pump water up into your tanks. So this is monumental. We've been working out in this community for 15 years, and we're excited the kids are gonna be able to move into the rescue home because now we have meters. And I'm sure Macedo knows how hard it is to get Zesto out there to get everything done. Clean water is critical to life. Norbert doesn't have water in his home, so he has to think about his day and his work day, how he's going to get water, how he's going to get those buckets, and how he's going to make every last drop last through the week. So all our campuses have deep boreholes. We do believe in those deep boreholes for that clean water and for long sustainability of water. And we also allow the communities to use the water at our schools. For example, Chongwei is an area, the rural area, that water is hard to access. So it's a big plus for that community to be able to get clean water versus walking several hours and using time. And that's one of the things that keeps children out of school or coming late to school, is getting that water in the morning. This doesn't look like much to you. That's two 20,000 water liter tanks that feed into our school and also our rescue homes out in the rural area. And those were just completed along with a large borehole. That is a computer lab. Actually, she's writing a letter to her teacher, but that's actually one of our computer labs that's actually in a container. Libraries working on books, and also making sure every child's in a uniform and has a pair of shoes. It's dignity. When you have a child that may not have any parents or may not have a caretaker, and they're going to school without shoes or not a uniform, they are ridiculed, just like they are here in the States. So just allowing these children to have the dignity to put on a uniform. That was our trip in July. We are out of classroom space. This is pretty normal that kids are on the floor or outside learning. Our classrooms probably have about 60 students per classroom in them, or more than that. Probably 70. So as many as you can get in there. That was a book bag project. A lot of people around here participated in. This is not the right PowerPoint, but whatever. Didn't this happen before? These are rescue homes that will house almost 100 children. They're in temporary homes right now, but they will be moving in there. Now the meters are up very quickly. One of the things we've also been working on are malaria nets for the beds, something that we didn't have before. Malaria is, as you know, another big disease in this part of the world that the children battle. It's not my normal. This is the Girls' House of Hope. We have about 33 girls living there, rescue home. They are close to Macendo's place out in Silver Rest, and they go to school out there. They're a beautiful home where they live and have friends and have family. And that's kind of their bedroom there. Staff nurse, this is Prudence. Prudence is one of our students that just finished her nursing and midwifery degree. What propelled her to do this is she watched her 14-year-old sister die in labor and the baby. And so she made a decision that she wanted to help really change things. So she went through our schools. We actually sponsored her in college. So she works in the schools now, helping with health and also training on disease. This is the food line. We are really thankful. We're partnering with several organizations, Convoy of Hope, Feed the Hungry, moving into a more nutritious lunch program. We do about 1 million meals a year. There's a fortified rice with soy and vegetables in it. So the kids, there's a huge difference in their health as they're enjoying their rice and their product. This is the farm. Had a bumper crop this year of cabbage and eggplant and greens and maize, corn this year, as well as chicken. So I think they had a bumper, and we're able to farm all year because they have irrigation. So they have that well out there and they're able to irrigate. This is under construction. It's our food security building. We're starting to also help with other entities in the country of Zambia that are not set up as VAT exempt, or other schools that need food. So this food security building will be where all the food is stored and then delivered out. It's almost done. And I was talking about our farm school. On the left is our teacher, and that is her office, which is the part of the chicken coop that you walk in at the front. And she's made her desk. And that's kind of the classroom. And that is actually, I think that's the chicken coop. Yeah, it is. So kind of giving you an idea. One of the things we're working on next year is agriculture and working with women in groups and helping them form co-ops so that they can work together and farm together and share the profits. I talked about robotics. We just finished a big competition between our schools. Kafui won high school, so that was a big day, and they got to enjoy trophies. So we also make sure that our robotics teams have women and girls in them to also help grow that for women and girls. Science, right now, this is what we're dealing with. Science is on tables. So our goal in the next couple of years is actually to have labs where they're actually working in laboratories and having the proper place to work with dangerous chemicals. Probably in the computer labs, you can see on the left, actually that's Liza Jerry, one of our college graduates who's teaching IT. And, but you can see how many kids we have on a computer. So 6, 10 kids working on the computer. Art is also a big thing in some of our schools. That's a mosaic done with little pieces of paper. So it's quite amazing to see the artwork. Our students in Chongwei just won a huge singing competition over all the high schools in the area. So they'll be going on to the next level. What amazes me is all these kids live in mud huts, and they won their dream to win a singing competition. Beautiful voices. And home economics, sewing, that probably might be frowned on here, but it's a life skill you definitely need in Zambia. This is the STEM school. You can see the rendering down below, and it should be finished this year and hopefully ready for high school next year. And this is kind of the hallway through it. So it's all made for Zambia, where it's kind of open air all year. That's Ruth, and that's Ruth's grandparents. And I just want to take you there to see the children that attend our schools and where they live and the challenges they have and how much an education means to lifting them out of extreme poverty. And not only them, but the generations to come, because it changes everything. It changes the life of your children. It changes your entire future when you can go to school and have an education. That's one of the little girls who I picked to school. That's Bob. If you ever want to go to Zambia and teach, train, leadership classes, science, anything, any gift that you have can be shared. Technology, that is Convoy of Hope in the STEM school. Medical, if you want to go on a mission trip, we just did a medical mission trip in June. Give me a look. That's Isaac. Isaac is 13 years old. And he's in our area of Kafui school. He was burned on one side of his face from a vat of shoe polish. If you want to pray for Isaac. We are working, trying to get him into a hospital in the US so that he can have surgery. It did burn off his ear and everything on one side, so that he can go back to school. So we've submitted him to Shriners in another hospital. That's Nawa, Kennedy, just kind of showing you. But what I want to stop here with is Nobert, and he's not going to share his story. Nobert is on the left. Nobert lived in the trash dumps, and he ate out of the trash. And he said every day people spit on him and called him names and passed him by. And Nobert was dying. He actually had tuberculosis of the spine that he didn't know about. But a nurse that we have on staff saw him. He barely had a pulse. This was 2010. Is that correct, Nobert? And took him, it was 18 months of treatment, a long time getting back on his feet. But Nobert finished high school at African Vision Hope. He lived in the rescue home, and he was sponsored in college, and he is our IT lead for our schools in Zambia. So helping one person changes so many people's lives. So I just want to leave you with that. I'm not going to go into all this other stuff. This is all the welding, sewing, and all that, and uniforms. We do have, because I'm going to have to push some propaganda. We do have our only fundraiser of the year coming up, and the one in Illinois is at the LeClaire Room on September 22nd. We have one at Windows in Washington on September 20th. So if you want a fun evening out, a good time, Lucindo comes, great food, and to just be able to pour in an impact to life, this is a great thing to come to. We usually have about 350 to 400 people between the two events. Is that okay? I'm good. Any questions? Yes, John.
Judy, do any of the children have to pay tuition to go to your school?
No. So our schools, there are school fees associated in Zambia to go to school. That's one thing that does keep kids out of school. When you hear Nobert's story, he was in and out of school because they're balancing, do I eat or do I go to school? So a lot of times they're working for their meal or helping that guardian work, so they're missing school to do that. So providing a lunch and a free school helps children that are in Nobert's position be able to go to school without that burden, and lifts the family up too. So thanks for that. We have about 62 students in college and higher education right now in Zambia. So that's our goal, to keep them there. Anything else?
The one picture you showed of the electricity coming in on the pole, where does that electricity come from and how is it generated?
Oh, man. That's weird. Huh? Hydroelectric. There you go.
Does it come from a city though that's nearby, or is it? They don't have
That-
solar on premises or anything?
No,
like that?
the power company is owned by the government, which is called Zesco. So that's where the power comes from. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of hydro power plants through dams that are
Yeah.
dammed around the country. So they get college rented over there, they have to transport it to the city.
Pay for it?
We paid to get this electricity there, yes.
So it's metered.
It will be metered, yes, but we actually paid to bring it out there that far. Because there's never been electricity out there. So it's quite a challenge because those poles are lifted up by hand. It's quite interesting to see. So it's not a quick process when you're cutting down trees. It's a very long process. Anything else? How long are you here for?
5 days.
5 days. So he's been working in our office on technology and all that kind of thing, helping him get more training. So. All right, thank you very much.
Home nursery and Tasosky family would like to present you with this